What is up, everyone? Vex30 here, coming in with my tanks and support breakdown for Season 3 Paladins. Now, there is a lot of changes in this video, but I decided to put Frontlines and supports together because it's the two classes I know the most about. So we're going to talk about that today. I hope y'all enjoy this video, and I hope you've been enjoying these breakdowns. I know yesterday's item change video had mistakes in it, and I'm honestly really sorry for that. I was thinking about taking the video down. It had a few, I wouldn't say minor mistakes, but a few mistakes in the video, and the formatting wasn't as good as I thought, so I'm sorry about that. I want to first give an apology for that, and I promise I will learn from that in the future and do better on those types of videos, because it was a new type of video for me and I really want to improve that type of video and keep doing stuff like that. So I hope you enjoy this video. I really hope you enjoy these breakdowns of Season 3. But without further ado, there's a lot of information here. Let's jump right into it.
Hey you, yeah, I'm talking to you. Did you know there is now Vex30 merch? You can show off your favorite support main with style on the street with the Classic V line. Be sure to check down below in the description for the link.
So with the nature of these patch notes, I am going to read off and talk about the talents and abilities and cover a couple of cards that also affect the talents and abilities majorly. There's a couple of cards that really aren't that important, and if you would like to read all this for yourself or follow along, I will put the patch notes down in the description. But with how extensive these changes are, I mean, unless you want this video to be an hour and a half long and me just reading facts, I'm not going to read through all of it, because that doesn't sound fun, right? I don't know how to make this video not boring for you guys. So we're going to go over what's important. We're going to talk about why exactly it's possibly being changed if I have an idea. And besides that, we're just going to go over everything. So without further ado, so this is not an hour-long video, let's get into it. Ash, talents, battering ram, reduced damage reduction from 90% to 75%. Fortress Breaker, reduced shield health from 3,000 to 2,000. Now, these two, the damage reduction change is something that Ash is extremely good at getting out very fast. She usually lives, so they're just reducing that damage reduction so she can be punished more during her dash. And also the shield health, reduced shield health increase. It actually, with the changes to Wrecker, which we went over in the video yesterday, it's actually not that big of a reduction because Wrecker got nerfed so hard. It was 73% reduction on Wrecker, and this is only like a 33% reduction on this. So the shield is now still better with the changes to Wrecker. Slugshot, increase your burst cannon's damage from 360 to 400, and with the abilities, burst cannon, it reduces the damage from 400 to 360. So these two go together. Slugshot will put it back to 400, but the base cannon damage will be 360 now. The Siege Shield, reduced shield health from 5,000 to 3,500. Again, not a 73% reduction like it was to Wrecker, but it's still a reduction, and the shield's actually stronger still. Shoulder Bash, reduced cooldown from 15 seconds to 14 seconds. Like, oh, wow, that must be good. Not so much. Cards, quick shield health. They're reducing the shield health increase from 250 scaling to 200 scaling. Again, still way better. And let's talk about the last one, which is the Shoulder Bash cooldown reduction. So it used to be 6 seconds at max. Now it's 4 seconds at max. So the Shoulder Bash overall got a nerf. It went down to 15 to 14 base. But with the cooldown reduction card, because a lot of people ran that at max, it's about a 1 second nerf, 1 second added to the cooldown reduction. They're mainly doing this because they probably want other cards to be more prevalent. The other two I actually want to talk about real quick is the increased healing on Kinetic Burst and Shoulder Bash. These two cards here. It's something that you'll see a lot more often with tanks. It's a pattern you're going to start noticing. So we'll talk about that at the end, but see if you notice more of that. So Atlas, abilities, Chrono Cannon. Reduced damage per shot from 60 to 50. Now deals 750 now fully charged. I'm glad they did that math, because I was going to do that math in my head real quick while I was talking, but they added it for me with a little asterisk there. Second chance, reduced time sent back from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. So when you go back, you won't get all your health back from 5 seconds ago, and now it'll be 4 seconds. It's a pretty good nerf. Cards, Stasis Shield, it's going to increase the duration of it. That's going to be pretty annoying. Second chance, now hitting an... Oh, this is the big one. Now hitting an enemy with setback reduces the cooldown of Stasis Shield by 1 second. So when you use your setback, you can now reduce people or reduce your stasis shield by up to 5 seconds when you're using that ability. So that's actually going to be a pretty big deal. Stasis shield is something that's very OP on Atlas overall, and having that more often is going to be fun to see. So talents for Barrack. Tinkerin, reduce damage per shot from 560 to 480. Oof, that sucks. Tinkerin was very strong and was meta for a while, but they had to do some sort of nerf to it, I guess, because damage on tanks they saw is too much. But the thing is, they did the same thing with Fortify as they did to Ash. Reduce shield health increase from 3,000 to 2,000. Again, still way less than the record change. Again, this is only 33%. Record change was a 73% reduction. So shields technically got better in a way, which was their whole plan, which was Evil Mojo's whole plan to make shields better, but shields might be a little bit too good. We'll see. Abilities. Barricade. Reduce shield health from 5,000 to 3,000. Rocket Boots. Increase movement speed while Rocket Boots is active by 10%. Now, he used to have cards for that. Those cards were either nerfed or changed. You'll see them when I scroll down in a second. Turret. Increased health from 600 to 1,000. The turret health is now really good, and you'll see why. There's, again, these new cards that it makes perfect sense. Reduce base deploy time for 3 seconds to 2 seconds. These turrets became way better. Arctectonics meta. Dome shield, reduce shield health from 20,000 to 10,000. Dome health, they want the dome to be able to die, but again, it's not going to, because this is a 50% reduction to dome shield, but Wrecker is getting like a 70% reduction. So I don't see how that's going to work out very well. Maybe if they reduced it to 8,000 or 7,000, it might die, but no, there's a good chance it doesn't die. Cards. Field deploy. Reduce deploy time. Changed into turrets. Hits with your turret heal you for 60. So, with the turret deploy time reduction base and the increased health, you're going to get a lot of healing from your turrets if they're slapping people the whole time. Forged alloy turret. Increased turret health from 175 to 150. That is a small reduction for adding 400 base health into the base kit. It's a pretty small reduction overall. Healing station. Reduced healing per second from 45 to 35 because they're adding a bunch of other ways for Barrack to heal. Bowling ball. Reduce shield health. Double time. Now heal 80 scaling per second for 4 seconds after you activate Rocket Boots. They are adding a lot of self-healing into Barrack's kit. That's why they nerfed Bowling Ball, because they want that old failsafe style of play to be gone on Barrack. At least that's what it seems. They're adding a new style of play to Barrack. I think that's the bigger thing. Field efficiency. Increase the duration, which is pretty good. The last one is one man scrap. Now this card I think is going to be possibly busted. When a turret is destroyed, reduce your active cooldowns by 10% up to 50%. When a turret is killed, when you kill a turret, you reduce all of his cooldowns by 50% if you have it level 5. What? And if you combo that with turret health or turret healing, you will constantly have turrets up doing damage and healing yourself. This card I think is going to be very, very good and extremely meta on Barrack. Fernando. Talent. Scorch. Now deals 30% more damage to the first target hit. Reduce damage increase on subsequent targets from 40% to 20%. So you do a lot more damage up front, a little less damage as it passes through people. A really good change, honestly. Scorch, I believe this is how it used to be, or close to how it used to be, but the upfront damage is a lot better for the fireball. Abilities. Flame Lance. Reduce self-slow by 15%. So when you see Nandos going like this at you, they're going to be able to run at you a little bit faster. Fireball. Increased cooldown from 6 to 7 seconds. We'll see. Reduce shield health from 8,000 to 5,000. Now, let's see. Hitting Fireball. This is a very interesting one. Very, very interesting one. Looks that kill. Hitting Fireball reduces the cooldown of charge by 0.6 seconds. So, as you're spinning Fireballs, you're getting more charges. But the Fireball has been nerfed on cooldown overall. That's why I said we'll see. Because reduced cooldown reduction from 0.6 to 0.4. Now, Fireball is taking a nerf on the cooldown, but it becomes a lot stronger when you're using Scorch. So I can totally understand why they nerfed its cooldown. And especially that they added looks that kill. They don't want you charging 24/7 at people while flaming people and not running as slow. So these were honestly really good cooldowns overall. And also a Hot Pursuit, reduce internal cooldown from 10 to 6 seconds. That'll be nice for that card overall. And then increase movement speed, which is interesting. You can now run faster on Nano, but I don't know if a lot of people run that card. And Nara, this is a this is a very interesting talent change. Tremors, your impasse now has 2 charges, but you can't destroy them. Impasse cooldown is reduced to 12 seconds. So you can put a wall in front of you, then you can put a wall behind you. It's kind of interesting. I don't think it'll be meta. I think Mother's Grace is still really good. So I don't see this becoming meta, but it's going to be something fun to play around with. Abilities, Impasse. Reduce deployable health from 8,500 to 5,000. Now they needed to do that because Bulldozer was nerfed. Cards. Activating Impasse grants you a 75% shield instead of increasing the duration of Impasse. I don't know if this card will be used very often, but it's interesting. And the duration on Impasse is actually starting to become meta. People are running at 1 or 2. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see with the change of that, what people are going to run as a 1-point card instead of it. Con, Storm Bullets no longer provides 10 ammo. So Storm Bullets roughly does the same amount of damage overall if you include the change to his Heavy Repeater, but it no longer provides the 10 ammo. Heavy Repeater, reduced damage from 200 to 180, so his auto attacks now do 180 at base instead of 200. Battle Shout, reduced cooldown from 15 seconds to 14 seconds. And then Bulwark, this received a 50% decrease, which is reduced shield health from 6,000 to 3,000. Cards. Now they put the ammo that they took away from Storm of Bullets and put some ammo in his base kit. So increased max ammo from 2 to 3. Reduced cooldown reduction of Battle Shout went from 1 second to 0.6 because they put it into his base kit. Now again, this is a 1 second overall nerf because it was up to 5 seconds, and then 0.6 is up to 3 seconds. So they reduced this cooldown base by 1 second and then gave you the choice of reducing it by 3 more instead of 5 more. Bulwark. It increases now your health of your Bulwark by 200 up to 1,000. So this card used to be a percentage base, which is really, really weird. But now they're making it a base 200 up to 1,000 health extra on your Bulwark, which is your shield. And then shield recharge rate from 4% to 6%. Now, I think they want Leanne's shield to be meta. And I think it could be with these now changes to the cards. Because it is actually a very good card. It's not a very good card right now, but it has uses when teams aren't buying Wrecker. It is very good. And with Wrecker's nerfs and these buffs to it, I think Leanne's Shield's actually going to be a really, really, really good on con, surprisingly. Makoa, there are some big changes here, so follow along. Pluck, increased damage from 65% to 75%. Now, hold up a second. You're like, wow, that's a big buff. Leviathan no longer grants CC immunity. Wow, Leviathan sucks now. That's true. Leviathan sucks now. It's only 600 health increase. It's awful. Don't run the Leviathan. But the Pluck one is not a full buff because Cannon reduced damage from 650 to 550. Overall, it's a nerf. I believe somebody calculated it was like 1,035 damage with the old Pluck. And then it's down to like 950 or something now with the new Pluck. But increased ammo count from 4 to 5, which is very interesting. Reducing the damage but increasing the ammo count is something actually that Overwatch did with Roadhog, and I thought it was a lot better with the less damage but more ammo. Increased cooldown of Dredge Anchor from 11 seconds to 12 seconds. Shell Shield reduced shield health from 6,000 to 3,000, but reduced cooldown from 16 seconds to 15 seconds. Ancient Rage at base now has CC immunity, crowd control immunity. So, Ancient Rage on any legendary while you're just swinging at people, you can now not be CC'd. So if you run Pluck, if you run Half Shell, boom, you're all CC immune. Even Leviathan, you are CC immune, but a Leviathan provides nothing else but a 600 base health increase. So I would run Leviathan, I would run Half Shell or Pluck now on Makoa. Let's skip. Most of his cards don't really matter. Rom wasn't really touched. Reduced damage on his auto attacks and reduced damage reduction on his, I believe that's his right click. Ruckus, talents, Flux Gen, reduced shield health from 1,250 to 1,000. So Flux Gen only received a small nerf on its shield health. Could actually be meta because of the changes to Wrecker. Who knows? Rocket Barrage. You may hold up to 3 charges of missile launcher. New. Increase your missile launcher's area of effectiveness from 15 units to 25 units. Pretty interesting on Rocket Barrage. Emitter. Reduce shield health base from 2,500 to 2,000. A small nerf on his emitter based on the changes to Wrecker. Missile launcher. Increase base capacity from 1 to 3. Increase cooldown from 8 to 10. Reduce damage from 2 times 250 to 2 times 225. That means there's 2 rockets that Ruckus shoots out, and sometimes you can only hit 1 because 1 might get caught on a wall. So that's why it's 2 times that number, because there's 2 rockets. And has 25% damage fall off at maximum range. Cards. Increase. This card used to be increased reload speed after getting Elam, and now increase your reload speed base. Who needs reload speed on Ruckus? Don't run that card. Don't. No. Terminus. Abilities. Shatterfall. Reduce cooldown from 15 seconds to 12 seconds. So a big reduction on his dash's cooldown. Reanimate. Reduce damage from 4,000 to 2,600. I don't fully understand why they did that, because the 4K burst was actually really good to have on his ultimate, because how slow it was. You punish people for being out of position when your ulti's up. I don't like the change personally on that one. Cards, there's really not much to Terminus' card. I don't see him changing that much. But Torvald's the big one that's being changed of all tanks. Torvald's becoming a support in a way. Torvald, health and shield. Reduced base health from 3,300 to 3,000, but increases your shield's passive shield's maximum health from 1,800 to 2,000. So he's making him more shield based on his health bar. Talents, thanks Grandpa. Old, increased duration of protection. New, increased protection shields health by 500. So when you put a shield on somebody, it is 500 more shield. Direct current, nullifier's range is now doubled. And field study, reduce the damage increase. Thanks Grandpa is meta. And especially because of these changes. Protection, increased duration from 3 to 4 seconds base. Reduce shield health though from 2,000 to 1,000. Reduce cooldown from 8 seconds to 3 seconds. So now he's just shield botting all the time. A little bit less health overall than it used to be. But with these cards that are coming up, you'll see why he's becoming a support. Nullify, reduce duration from 2.5 to 2 seconds. And a reduce range from 51 units to 50 units, because it's even. Why was it 51 units? Recharge, reduce cooldown from 15 to 14 seconds. And increase shield generation. So you can now get your recharge up more often. It does a little bit more shielding to help you out. Hyper beam, some damage, blah, blah, blah. It's weird. Cards. So where's that? Let's scroll down. Life Giver. It used to heal you for 50, scaled up to 250 when you put a shield on somebody. Now it heals your target. So if I heal a Rom who's half health, it'll heal them 75 health up to 425 or 450, right? Yeah, 450. Sorry. It'll heal them 75 health, scaling by 75. This is a pretty big deal. So if you put a shield on somebody out of caught, it'll heal them a pretty big burst heal. 450 is a pretty big burst heal. And it also now grants ammo to your target. So if you're healing, say, a Cassie, you're hard pocketing a Cassie, or Evie, or Maeve. Maeve doesn't really matter. Sorry, not Maeve. Ignore that. Leanne even. You are now giving them ammo to keep fragging. This is a pretty big deal overall, because Torvald is a hard pocket on a hard carry. You pocket a hard carry the whole time. If you're pocketing somebody who has ammo, that's not Maeve, and you can heal them as well. He's not a support, right? But he heals his protection target now, which is massive when you're pocketing a hard carry. So Torvald's now becoming a support. Speaking of supports, let's jump right into the supports, because there's, again, a lot of changes supports I'd like to talk about. And the moment you've all been waiting for, your favorite support main now talks about the support changes. So starting with Furia, talent, Solar Blessing now reduces the speed of Pyro Strike by 40%. I think this is an overall buff. I think there are elements to it that hurt Solar Blessing, but there are elements to it that help Solar Blessing. The reason it helps is because when you throw a beam at somebody, it now moves slower towards them. So now they have more time to react to it coming towards them. The bad side is we are trying to throw it at somebody far away. They're just not going to get the beam in time. Abilities, Kindle Soul, reduce healing over time from 500 to 400. Pretty understandable with the changes to Cauterize. Cards, let's see. This one actually, Hallowed Sight, useless card. Don't use it. Anything else I forgot about? Yeah, there's one. Kindle Soul. They got rid of Kindle Soul. I don't understand why. Why did they get rid of Kindle Soul on Furia? It hurts her, not just Solar Blessing, but Cherish as well. And Kindle Soul now reduces the cooldown of Pyre Strike by 5 seconds. They're making Solar Blessing the only way to go on Furia with this. It's really honestly sad to see, because Solar Blessing is a good talent, but it's a healer's talent. It's not a support's talent. So it's honestly, like, I'm really disappointed with this change. I really think they need to revert it or change this. I don't like it at all. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it at all. It's giving you a chance to throw more beams. So Solar Blessing honestly is the play now in Furia. But what can you do, you know? Grok. Dev commentary. There's now 2 supports with this, by the way. We will be watching PTS before making changes to Grok. Grok as a healer is not good. Grok as the damage is okay. Grok as a healer, again, not good. So they are going to be changing him during PTS to see how he does. So we're going to test Grok a little bit in PTS when it comes out. So be sure to watch that and keep an eye on that on my streams and my videos. Grover. Talents. Rampant Blooming. Reduced healing from 150 to 100. Again, to keep in line with the changes to Cauterize. Deep Roots. Increased bounce distance by 5%. Meh. It's nothing too major. Vine. Quality of life. Now, there's 2 reasons why they actually changed this, and I'll explain in a second. Players can now hold this ability down and a UI marker will appear in the world. Woo! I'm so happy for that, because when you vine up in the air, you could never tell if it was going to hit or not, and you had to keep going like this to throw your vine. But the reason I think they changed it is because there used to be something, or is still something, called Grover Vine Crash. When Grover vined, crash people. And most of the time, it's when he misses. He can't technically miss anymore. So I think that's one of the small reasons why they changed it, but I don't think that's the real reason why they changed it. I think they changed it so it feels much better to be used, but it's a small little interesting thing. Verdant Expanse. Reduce radius from 10% to 4%. Perennial. Reduce cooldown reduction from 5.5 to 0.4. So overall nerfs to Grover, but on Blossom, sorry, I totally missed over Blossom because I was looking at Vine. Reduced healing from 900 to 750. Keeps in line with the Cauterize changes, but increased base range from 60 units to 80 units. So they increased his base range, but decreased the percentage you gain on Verdant Expanse. Heavenly Agility. This one's pretty interesting. You can gain up to a 500 shield after using Vine. This will actually keep you alive a lot more often. So this is a card that I might think about running. And hitting an enemy with Crippling Throw reduces the cooldown on Blossom by 0.6 seconds. So reducing Perennial is fine because they added this card. They're adding a whole new level of deck building with Grover. So what you can do is now run a reduced Crippling Throw cooldown build where you reduce cooldown on Crippling Throw, reduce the cooldown of Blossom when hitting Crippling Throw. So now you get more Crippling Throws, the more you get your Q up. I overall really like this change because it adds more skill to him and adds more interesting deck building. Io. Talents. Goddess Blessing. Reduced damage reduction from 25% to 15%. This talent has taken over the support world and it needed a nerf, so it got a nerf. 15% might be a little bit overkill. 20% might have been a good middle ground, but it needed a nerf, so I'm okay with it. Lifelink. Reduced healing per second from 300 to 180. Now, I think this is a little bit, I would say, overkill for the talent, but it kind of makes sense because of the Bulldozer changes. Bulldozer was nerfed pretty hard, so I get it. Dog would have been OP healing if you can't counter it. Sacrifice now resets the cooldown of Luna's deploy. I don't fully understand what this means. It now resets the cooldown of Luna's deploy, so like when she dies, you can move her, you can bring her back instantly. I think that's what it means, but I don't see Sacrifice being anywhere usable. Abilities. Increased cooldown of Lunar Leap from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. Moonlight. Reduced healing from tick from 150 to 120. And Rush Luna Stun. Increased cooldown from 15 to 18 seconds. Honestly, the stun needed some sort of nerf. It was OP. Flankers couldn't go on her because she'd get stunned constantly. And her cards increased cooldown reduction with her Lunar Leap. So basically they increased it base but decreased it with a card. And now there's a new card. Instead of lowering your gravity and air control when using Moonlight, which was a pretty cool card, honestly, they increase your Moonlight capacity by 6%. this card is actually going to be very viable on Io and helps her overall as a healer because her Moonlight capacity and her Moonlight charge was the biggest thing holding her back overall. So now increasing that, maybe running Lifelink, Luna or Io might be a viable healer instead of just a damage reduction bot. Genos, talents. Power of the Cosme, increased damage from 360 to 480. I don't think this helps us at all, but maybe with the changes to resilience, it could make it more viable to run with the cooldown reduction reset card. Star Splitter, increased ammo by 6. Genos can now output more damage, which increases ult charge, which lets him fight more 1v1 against people. Astral Mark reduced the healing per second from 220 to 180. Isn't that big of a deal. And then reduced cooldown from 8 seconds to 7 seconds, so you can now more often mark people. But with the changes to his cards, I think it's an overall dead even with Genos because it reduces the duration increase from 0.5 to 0.4 seconds when you have a heal on somebody, so it doesn't last as long. They reduced the cooldown reduction via cards to 0.4 seconds, which makes it 2 seconds instead of 2.5. So overall, it's a buff to his cooldown reduction on Astral Mark when you add it up, because it going down to 7 seconds base and then it only being reduced by 0.5 for the cards. So it's a buff to his cooldown reduction, and then lifesteal, that one doesn't matter. So the duration decreased, but cooldown also decreased by 0.5. It's an overall even because his Astral Mark healing wasn't reduced by much because Luminary is still really strong. What you look at as Genos is his damage increase on his heals. It's not really his healing because Genos' healing has never been great. It's always Luminary with the damage amp. So I think this is actually an overall buff to Genos because increased ammo, less healing, but like reduced cooldown reduction. I think this is an overall buff to Genos, and I'm pretty excited to see where he's going to land. Damba, talents. Wakona's Curse turns into Ripen Gourd. Gourd no longer does damage to enemies, but its healing effects are doubled. I think this talent's going to be a lot more viable because of the changes to Spirits Chosen. Reduce additional healing from 300 to 200. 200 is nothing. So I believe Damba is going to move into a more Gourd-centric build type, but we're going to have to see. With also his cards being changed, which we'll talk about in a second, I believe Ripen Gourd is now going to be the meta on Damba. Abilities. Mending Spirits, reduced healing to 280 to 250. Let's see. There it is. Mending Spirits, reduced movement speed from 7% to 5%. This here is one of the reasons why I think we're going to move into a more Gourd-centric Damba. 25% movement speed is good, but it's not great. With the Nimble nerfs, maybe it still stays really good because the Nimble's getting reduced. Maybe 25% is still a big deal. But I do think you're going to see a lot more Gourd-centric builds because you can work it in maybe instead of Mending Spirits. So it's something that I'm going to have to play with and see if it's going to be viable or not. And then no more reload speed base with Snake Bit. It increases your movement speed by 2%. What? 2%? Really? Up to 10? Not good. No. This should be like 5% or like 3%. Why 2%? Nothing. It's nothing. So this card, don't run it. Pip, Combat Medic. Reduce healing from 750 to 700. They only reduced it slightly because Pip wasn't in meta, so they wanted to see if he can be meta with a small reduction. It needed a small reduction, but because of Cauterize, but it was a very small reduction compared to the other ones. Catalyst, reduced damage increase from 40% to 30%. I think they're nerfing this because of the nerfs to Caught and Moxie with Pip. Overall, will make him a better damage dealer, so they had to nerf Catalyst preemptively. Abilities, Healing Potion, reduced healing from 1200 to 1000. Makes sense with the Cauterize changes. From above, increase the cooldown reduction. Escape Artist, now you can increase the duration as well on your escape by 1 second at level 5. But that used to be the damage reduction card, which a lot of people use. So this will make Pip less viable as a dive and more viable as a sit back, use your waitlist to get out damage dealer. And Acrobatics Trick is the last one to talk about, is weapon hits reduce the cooldown of Healing Potion by 0.1 seconds. I want to know if this card works on allies. When you're running Combat Medic, if you're hitting allies, if you're healing them and reducing the cooldown of your Healing Potion by 0.5 seconds. I want to know 100%. First thing, is this works on allies, and if it does, it's OP. Saris, solo, increase maximum ammo. That doesn't do much. Reduce time to enter shadow travel from 1 second to 0.8. This helps her. In base, you move 25% faster. And again, this helps her overall. But again, she's still a heal bot, which might be the meta now, heal bots. Reduced healing over the abilities 1.5 duration from 2000 to 1400, but reduce the cooldown from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. Rend Soul. Used to be when you detonated, you reduce the cooldown of right click. Now every soul charge you detonate increases your movement speed by 1% for 3 seconds up to a maximum of 15%. This card is something that I might run. Movement speed on Saris has always been very good, so we'll see. Let's see. Soulforge, they're getting rid of the cooldown reduction card for her right click and making it increase the range which your restore soul heals adjacent allies by 4%. I think this is a really good change. Putting her CDR into her base kit and adding a new card. I think putting CDR into the base kit is always really good. It adds more diversity into builds. But yeah, that's about it on Saris. And the final one is Ying. And again, with Ying, it is dev commentary. They'll be watching PTS, which I don't understand on Ying. Ying is one of the more powerful heal bots in the game currently. And with the changes to COT, Ying is going to need a nerf. I think Evil Mojo doesn't know how much to nerf her yet. So they're waiting to see how much they need to nerf her based on healing numbers. What they're going to do is check all the supports, what their healing numbers are, and then look at Ying's healing numbers, and then they're going to figure out how much they need to reduce it by. That's what I think they're going to do, because they don't know how much to nerf Ying. So that is it for the supports. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a long one and a lot of information, and I try to give my opinions on as much as I can, but this is more informational. There's some opinions I can give here and there if it's good or bad, but this video, I hope it wasn't too boring, and I hope it wasn't too long. It was a fun one for me to do because I really love these changes, and I can't wait to test them in the PTS, which, as I do in these videos, I'm going to show on screen now. Hey everyone, FutureVex here. I figured I'd give you a quick little video show how to join the PTS. So open up your Steam, click on store. As soon as you get to store, on the top right, search the store, type in Paladins. Paladins, click on Paladins, takes you to the main page. Scroll down just a tiny bit until you see this thing. Notice, want to participate in Paladins public test? Click here. Click here, install the PTS, and join today. So please use that, join the PTS. It should be up either today, soon after this video goes out, or sometime this weekend. They said Friday, but don't quote me on that. I heard Friday. If it's not out today, don't blame me. Don't look at me. So it'll be out at some point. So use that video right there to join the PTS. That's how you do it. Give your feedback on Twitter, on forums, on Reddit. Give Evil Mojo your feedback because this is such a big change. They are looking for you, yes you, to give feedback to know if this patch is good or not. But that'll be it for this support and frontline breakdown. I hope all of you enjoyed the video. I also hope you enjoy your day, night, evening, morning, dawn, dusk, or whatever it is where you live. And I will see you in the next one. Later.